action figure and then proclaims it doesn't have to do anything, it usually doesn't go well. Yeah,
Right.
know what I mean? So then there's service. You just do service, simple. Uh, then after a while, you get the idea of service, and then you're of service. So it's really about a willingness. Yeah. So
Yeah.
the action figure is now willing, where not knowing it, it was unwilling, and now it's willing. Yeah. Yeah. So it's like a dog. It can learn tricks even when it's old, though, which is good. Yeah, so there is a maintenance. I mean, you're not the Toyota, but the Toyota gets you a lot of places. So
Yeah.
you take care of the Toyota, basically. Maybe not so much for the Toyota, but the role it plays. Yeah. Yeah. So in my case, and most people, a lot of people, you get older, it's like a crapshoot every morning. I mean, yeah. Remember where you used to try to figure out what you did to hurt yourself, but then things just happen. You don't do shit. You wake up and something's out of alignment or anything. Yeah. So
That's right.
where did I? And then you're getting, the doership run over you, but you didn't do shit.
Right.
So it's just yeah,
Where did that bruise come from? What is that?
that's right.
Right.
No, yeah, yeah. I must have done something. No, but it's like two records are playing at the same time. One's a long playing record, 33 and a third. Then there's the 45, the little single. Yeah. They're playing at the same time, but one doesn't know that the single. When the album knows that what the single is also on the album, but the album is not on in the single.
Right.
So, yeah, I think it leaks. It leaks from really going one way from the album to the single, to tell you the truth. The single is pretty encased. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so there's recognizing a lot about the action figure, and it brings a part of you that's not the part of you call you, so to speak. Yes, something comes in and allows it brings an understanding, sort of like if the dog got shot with a higher level of understanding, so it would comprehend things it doesn't comprehend now. Yeah. So in the dog programming, it's got to do the German Shepherd thing. It's trying its hardest to figure out what's going on, and they're pretty good. But if you could just shoot it up, for, yeah, but it wouldn't come from the dog. You would shoot the dog up with it, and then they would understand. Yeah. So this is what it's like. I feel the absolute leaks into the relative, so to speak, and yeah. But the relative doesn't ever leak into the absolute. Because the relative really isn't. Yeah, so it's a tricky one with people because I remember when I first started giving talks, well, a long time ago in Toronto, we would have a talk and then there'd be a break and there would be another one, yeah. And then somebody would come up to you and they had a book of non-duality and they were reading it in the break, and they were trying to get as much intelligent knowledge of it, yeah, but it wasn't going to do anything for them. So I would say, I think, what'd be best for you would be to leave and go to like a soup kitchen and just hand out soup. It'd be better than coming to another satsang because, yeah, yeah, you could see it was going in the wrong hole, so to speak. Yeah. So that's why sometimes when we're speaking, people are surprised. They're thinking that I'm going to give them a very metaphysical answer. And I said, you're fucked and you should just do some service, you know, because at that moment, the relative is reigning supreme, so to speak. Yeah. Yeah. It's just like the old thing we had where, if someone believes that they're in a fire, uh, you don't tell them there is no fire. You tell them where the nearest water is. Yes. Do you believe they're in a fire? No. But there's a believing they're in a fire. Yeah. And so the best advice would be get some water. Yeah. So you can't, it's all flexible because if not, like fundamentalism or it becomes like arthritic. Yes. So that which never bends breaks, so to speak. Yeah. Yeah. So on one level, on a certain day, like in the morning at recovery, uh, you're not saying there is no person. You're just saying the person that you're thought to be isn't you. Yeah. It may be too much to go that there's no one home. So you don't. You just talk about the guest that's playing the role of the master in your house. Yeah. And so the idea comes in, and then they get relief from the actor and what's going on in the play and see where it takes you. Yeah. But first, things first, in a way. Yeah. So here, of course, all of you are extremely advanced. So we could just really get down to the nitty gritty. Yeah. All right. So you have anything, Mike, today? Anyone has any question or anything?
Paul, what you just described, I've heard you say in another context in the macro and micro context that the macro would include the micro, but not the reverse
No.
micro view of life or the micro view of my life or whatever I'm experiencing would not include the macro. And I think the difference, I mean, to me, that the word that comes up in all of that is, and what I'm talking about when I think about the micro and when I'm feeling that, and is non-localized, unlocalized. That the micro is a localized view,
Yes.
and the other one is not localized view.
So the micro will have concepts of the macro.
It will think it knows something about the macro.
Yes. And it actually feels that's more than enough.
Just the idea of it, right?
Oh yeah. So if it thinks it knows it, then it can just yeah be done with it. So the macro has a lot of concepts about the micro.
That's why somebody's reading a book during the
Or
break.
the, or the
And
micro
that's
has
like,
a lot of concepts about the macro.
yeah,
Forgot. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
written in other ways. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's weird. I know it's interesting, but when someone says, a million years ago, people's foot size were eights, what the hell? I mean, if the whole thing is an event, a verb of dreaming, yeah, yeah. So we're dreaming about a million years ago now, yeah. So yeah. Yeah, with the macro, the panoramic, obviously, because it's panoramic, sees the myopic, and the myopic obviously can't see the panoramic because it's the myopic. That's part of the title of panoramic and myopic. Myopic is very, let's say, self-centered. So everything is seen or talked about as it pertains to you. Yeah. And you are not that you. So what's going to, yes. This is just to tell the truth about it. It's not about trying to rehab it or change it. This isn't like recovery. This is just telling the truth. And the finality of it is you're not that. Yes. Yeah. So on one level, recovery is about changing what you're not. Yeah. To get to a point where you can entertain other possibilities. But non-duality isn't about change, really. It's it's just a negation of the assumptions that most of us are the living expression of. Yes. Yeah. Completely uh, drenched in time where there is no time and all this. So the futility of, because there's a lot of parts of the action figure that think they're not the action figure. Yeah. There's a lot of parts of the action figure, the brain, think they're not the vehicle. They are in the, they're sitting in the vehicle and they could get to a bigger, better vehicle. Yeah. And so when a lot is discovered about the action figure, that which arises and claims to be the discoverer is still part of the action figure, but it doesn't think so. Yeah. So it feels like uh, it's got a ace in the deck, like it's going to leave. Yeah. It's not a part of this. But in fact, like Ramana said, with you see the unreality of a movie at the theater. Yeah. And you're very clear. Even if you saw yourself in the movie, you would see that unreal. But the idea of you as the one seeing the movie would still take it to be real. Yes? It's self-real. And this is the thing. So Ramana talks about the person that's sitting in the theater and they recognize what's going on isn't real. Yeah? It's an appearance, an act of dreaming, let's say. And there's a subtle belief that the real Paul is seeing the unrealness. Yeah, and he says the circle you're drawing is always will include you. Yeah, where the head will exclude an aspect of itself in the circle of unreality. Yeah, so he would say, no, you sitting there thinking this whole place is unreal with the assumption you're real is part of the unreal. Yeah. And so every time we seem to arrive, because we arrive here, we're not here, literally. That's why there's time. We're not here, but in time we can appear to be here. So the idea of self arises a lot, yeah? So it arises in a moment, the only place it can arise in a moment, and in that moment it appears real, at least to the mental observer. Yeah? The brain and everything. So that appearance of real, that's why it's I was Paul and I'm going to be Paul. Therefore, I am Paul. It doesn't start with I am. It starts with I was and I will be. And then it takes that to prove I am. Yeah? But there's no proof of I am as the thing. None. There isn't because there isn't one. So time is what produces the proof. So I have memories. I was here. Yeah. I was in San Francisco yesterday. I was this, I was that. And obviously, how I felt and how San Francisco felt is projected into a future. Yeah. And that past says I was, for sure. The future, why would you be occupied worrying about something that isn't so? So obviously there's a future relevance. So I will be, And then it slips into, therefore I am. And now, and suddenly, the Paul that came after sits on the I am that's always before, and the I am itself is used to produce to reinforce the idea of Paul. It's I am Paul. So now you finally feel present, yes? Because you're not out, your head's not in time and everything. You're present because that's your nature, but the head slips in. Now you're present as Paul. To continue, I was, I will be, therefore I am. What part of you is going to get out of that? What? You clean up the past, you stop worrying about the future, but there you still are. Yeah. If there's a desire to get out, there must be a feeling you're in, and that's the dilemma because you're not in. So the truth about the getting out would be disputed by seeing you're not in. And then you wouldn't do anything, and then you would see the arising of Paul. You would. Yeah, because the time, the current of time wouldn't have moved you from your be stillness, and you would see the arising of self, of Paul. You would. Yeah. Now, does that change the Paul that arises? Maybe not much. Yeah. It will begrudgingly travel lighter because it's not just submerged in emphasis and meaning. Something, yeah. At least you've been dethroned as the me and you're just a humble you now. So there's a sense of disbursement, yeah, which causes a traveling lighter. It does. But that which appears is never going to disappear as the appearance. Yeah. So that which disappears, that which appears is never going to disappear. There's going to be an appearance of you that wants to be there when you disappear. This is the futility of it. Non-duality. How many slaps do you have to have? There's a point where you're not getting out. As slick as you can get, you're not getting out of what you're not in. Yeah. It's not going to happen. And conversely, you're not going to get into what you're not out of. You cannot get into the moment. Yeah. You can't. You would be seeing the exit as an entrance door. Yeah. You're in the moment. The exit says enter, so you're thinking you're getting into the moment when you're exiting the moment. All the signs are backwards. You've arrived, but actually your drive to arrive is a it's another trip altogether. Yes? Yeah. What you arrive uh is almost like a departure. Yeah. You arrive where you thought you wanted to end up, and you departed from what you were, where you always were, seemingly, yes, in the dreaming. So the arrival is a verifying the fact that you departed. Wow. Yeah. It can't get affirmation. It gets it an opposite way. You don't sing the the glory of the arriving. But while you're singing the glory of the arriving, it's giving a factual recognition of the departing. Yeah. If just like when was in that Australia thing and I was crying and laughing and mostly crying, and as this thing that arises in time, I felt as deeply as it can feel that I was never going to get back to that, the Godhead or something like that. And I was in a huge tizzy, a cathartic event. I'm never going to get back, never going to get back. And it just and then a day or two later, after the great dramatic, crescendo of my Hamlet, it hit me that I can never get back because I never left. That's the whole point. Yeah. And that was really the 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 misdirection of the mental logic. The back of it was broken that time. Yes, the misdirection of the mental logic, because the mental logic is trying to get out of what it's not in and get into what it's not out of. The camel broke its back that time. That thing just hit it. Yeah, and I realized, Jesus, this thing is fucking insane. Something realized it. So I'm trying to get out of what I'm not in, and I'm trying to get into what I'm not out of. Uh, what do you think that's supposed to trigger? Be still. Yeah. This whole point is to disarm, not give you a slicker way to, become a slicker spiritual warrior. Give up the whole, just, yeah, be still. Look around if there's any jelly for the peanut butter sandwich you just made. Yeah. That's it. The, the targeting a transcendence is pointless. Yeah. You're not getting out of here because you're not here. Yeah. That's the way I've escaped. I've been trying to escape since I was 6 or 7, really. Lots of different vehicles, but I had an urge sort of get out of whatever I thought I was in. And I don't know how many years ago that was broken. That little fake vertebrae was broken. And now I'm completely in Novato, California. I mean, just completely immersed here. I smell it, I hear it, I feel it, I taste it, I touch it, but I don't think about it. The thinking is just sort of, it's like white noise, and then the conscious contact is the event. Yeah, 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 yeah. It's not like any other event, it's just the event of the moment. Yeah. And basically, I can do basically the same thing every day, but it's new, which is cool. Yeah. I don't have to go to the 7 oceans of the world. I can go to the lagoon and swim there every day. Do the same thing, come out, my whole day is made for the action figure. The action figure, it was like a dog. It wanted to get out and play ball. I do that, then the dog just naps all day. It just chills. And then I come to these talks. Uh, oh, yeah. So some of us, we had enough kindling to burn down a city, of the spiritual futility. So it's like Mike and Cassandra and David Lowe and lots of people. I'm sure Stephen Mack and everyone else. I mean, that's when the memory has a certain value. It's used in a correct manner, so to speak, to remember all your attempts failed. And by failing, they finally succeeded. Yes. You finally got it in a way. You got it that you're never going to get it. It's fantastic. It, it frees you up, man. Yeah. And I think a lot of people are afraid to die when they're really not living. Yeah. They're in the past and the future a lot. And therefore, they're still hoping to really get a feeling of life and they want more time. Yeah. and they're afraid that the that bell is going to ring. But I feel, like, hey, yeah, it was a great run. Pretty much got away with murder quite a lot. Just yeah. I never really see anyone I used to know here. So I don't know if this is on the universal vacation circuit. It seems like one go and no. Uh, what movie concentrates on the hemorrhoids the person has? What movie? Yes, the incontinence or the lack of flow in their urine or their demoralizing loss of hearing. Oh, there's a few things I'm not ready for. I don't want to get on the scooter at Costco. The little, don't. That's a line in the sand. I don't want to start wearing adult diapers and play it off that I'm following the Ramana Maharshi method. No, I don't want to see that. And I don't know what else, but uh, and I'm not going to get used to Jello at the senior citizen center. No, no. So yeah, see it now. Why not? See it now. You don't want to seem to be the witness when it deflates all at once. Just the message will let the air out of a lot of balloons. Yeah. Just stop blowing in the balloon and they'll be deflated. It'll be a much easier, softer way. Yeah. It's like if you were a tap dancer and you were tap dancing yourself to your departure, the tapping would be lighter as you go. Uh, uh, and you fulfilled your purpose really, just to be awake to being present and available. Yeah. And a basic willingness to be used. Yeah. That's that's uh that's a recipe for a rich life. Yeah. Yeah. It's so much, it's best to seen as nothing, to be nothing. Yeah. But it's so much. Every day, the experiences of conscious contact are innumerable. It's just millions of things going on. Yeah. Yeah. They and you can't you can't tie them together. You can't bundle them. You can't weigh them. You can't preserve them. You can't put them in a refrigerator or a freezer. Forget the memory. It the memory just corrodes in time. Yes, just its manufacturing condition isn't good. Yeah.
There doesn't seem to be much of anything connected to outcomes either. One outcome is about as good as another. There's no,
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, yes. Well, time loses. You have to draw the lines to keep time uh, defined. Yes. Gotta, and when that gets, if you, it's sort of like when you're unkept, when you lose it, so to speak. In a way, time is sort of you lose it that way. You just don't see what. Yeah, 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 yeah. And then the things that when you thought about it, you could only it only turned into a conceptualization, you actually live, and the living of it uh, obviously takes the place of the picture of it. Yeah. Yeah. And I was very fortunate in this life in one way. To this day, I feel it. When I was young, my father was ill, very ill. And so it changed as a kid, it changed that dynamic of father and son. I was the youngest. And when I was nine, 9 years old, we lived in a house and we had an upstairs where the bedrooms were. And on Sunday, we'd have a lunch, yeah, with the family. And my father was upstairs. For some reason, he was sleeping in my bed. And so my mother called him and didn't get a response, so she sent me up there. She said, "Well, wake up, Dad." So I went up there, and my father had been in a lot of pain for a couple of years, and he never looked that good, you know. You could see that something was dragging on the action figure. And he was in my bed, and he was laying there, like with his hands on his chest, and his head was a little turned, but he had a smile on his face. First time I've seen him smile in years, and he had passed away. Yeah. It made a huge impact on me because I didn't know what impacted me is like he looked happy. Yeah. I didn't know about death really. So I called my mom and she came in, and by her reaction, I knew something had happened and that my father had passed away. But that reaction didn't do it. The first one made the biggest impression. Yes, I saw that he really was like lit up and smiling. Yeah, it's incredible. Made a huge like a tattoo or an impression on me. And then I got oh, he died. And then the story. Yes, the narrative, but it got beaten so bad by that first impression. It never, none of the stories moved that. Yeah. So I really felt like if I had an idea that kicking and screaming would be the appropriate way to go, it didn't look like it that way. Yeah. It looked like he was super chilled and somewhat happy. Yeah. Fantastic, eh? Yeah. So, uh, yeah, I don't know what that means, but it means what the head is laying on us is always defined by after, and it's never going to cover up or hide the before. Yeah. The before is always there, knowing against the head not wanting to know it. Yeah. Just the knowing, it's not intruding, it's just there. And the head is busily not wanting to know it. Yeah. It senses the knowing of it, doesn't want to know it because it goes against the story. Yeah. Now, that is before. All the what not wanting to know it is the after in time. Yeah. This that is before, no matter how much I heard about death and everything after I saw my father, that all that after did not touch the before. Yeah. And this is sort of what it's like with this message. This is not arriving. It's like you never left home. Yeah. Yes. It just there's such a knowing that let's say you get an accumulation of ahas, there's one that's it. Yeah. It's just, it becomes a choir. You think it was a singular aha, but it's the same song being heard. Yeah. And then you get it. Yeah. And and then when you stop, truly, when you're not being moved by the head's agitation all the time, you can see the head's agitation. Yeah. If you're moving and something else is moving, you really don't know it's moving. But when you're stopped and something else is moving, you know it's moving. You can see it. Yeah. You can see the activity of the head producing this sense of self or a sense of being an individual. You see it. Yeah. And they can't close the curtain quick enough because they can never close the curtain on what's before because the play starts after. Yeah. 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 So now time has its own before and after. And I feel humbly that in time, the head's process is before most other processes that we would call spiritual practices. Yeah. And therefore, the spiritual practices that come after as a reaction to the head's agitation in before are not going to change the before. They're going to be infected with the before. So they're going to carry the agitation with all the practices to get still. They're going to actually trigger more agitation. As Zen says it beautifully, you can't use activity to produce stillness. That would be activity. Yes? I believe in time, the mental activity is quicker than almost anything else. Yeah. And it's whatever gunslinger you bring in with a new amazing practice or everything, it outdraws it. Yeah. And then you're injected into the process that was there to sort of decrease you. You get increased. Yeah. And you can see it obviously with certain communities, awakening, which would be a great thing, actually causes tons of agitation. And enlightenment, which means cessation of all suffering, actually is used by the head to produce suffering. Yeah. What more examples do you need? There's a description of awakening, and that description claimed by something, and it is used to be agitated or increase more agitation. Do you think that's going to stop after 50 examples? You've seen the principle of it. The principle of you can't use activity to produce stillness. That would be activity. So I hope non-duality freezes you. And then what moves after you're frozen, you can see is not you. Yeah. Because everything that tries to fly out of the coop ain't you. Yeah. So when you hear the statement, be still, and something in you takes it as an order, and then finally can't hold it and acts out, that's not you. Yeah. So these umbilical cords, by a misunderstanding, get cut. Yes, yes, yes. Mm. All right. Well, all right. Let me say this, Ernie. I'm talking right to you, bro. Here's the playing of time. There's a presupposing of a non-existent thing. Yes. So the non-existent thing is the first thing. Yeah. There's a presupposing of a non-existent thing as being an existent thing. That's where we start. Yes. But there was a before where we think we started, which is the existent thing is actually a non-existent thing. What? Yeah. It's very clear. It says there's a presupposing. I would say it is the head that does this. The presupposing of a non-existent thing to be an existent thing. And it just runs with that narrative and reinforces it all the time. Yes? Now, that existent thing, all the while, the thing is still non-existent. But the existing thing now wants to get salvation for itself. Yeah. Okay. So that's the thing. So the before is forgotten. This is a non-existent thing. And the after is made to be the before. I'm an existent thing. Yes? So that's there was no before that. That's the starting point. I am an existent thing. And things aren't going well or whatnot. And I've heard about stuff and I want to find salvation or transcendence or enlightenment. Yeah? All the while as the existing thing. Then he shoots into, he says, if this is the case, so basically a before was dismissed and an after was crowned a before, yeah? And now we start in time as as the beginning of our time is we are an existent thing, but we're not, yeah? But we start there. Okay, then if that's the case, the spiritual practices you get into to sort of change or bring about a salvation for the non-existent thing are reinforcing the mistake. How can they destroy it? Yeah, yeah. Okay, so non-duality starts at the thing that we believe is existing is a non-existent thing. That's the before. Yeah. When that is established, then the existence and the thing that seem to be the thing is existing, that mix up is seen clearly. Yeah. You see, you sense the existence, but you don't combine it with the thing. Yeah. So the thing is animated, but you're not falling for it that the animation is of the thing. The thing is animated, but it's sort of like the light in the bulb, yes, or the electricity in the lamp. So now you see the existent thing, but you see a difference between the thing and the existence. Yeah? You're onto something. Then you see most of the practices you were doing was you were doing it under the banner of being the existent thing. Now that you see the thing does not exist and existence is the key, it's a here and now event. Yes. And the event has already been set up and is acting out. You're not going to arrive at the event or start the event. You're in the event. You are existence, let's say. Yeah. Yeah. So and if you have a sense of existence, the idea of less existing and more existing are absurd, just completely absurd. I'm existing, but I want to get more existence. Or no, you realize this is when you come to the radical awareness, pure awareness, these things. That's all the after. Yes? The before is the before. It doesn't need any additions or adjectives. It just is. Yeah. Now we've gotten clear not about the before, but about the after that was being presented as the before. What triggers then is the before. When you get clear about the after, which is the mingling of existence with a thing, yeah, it's sort of like mistaking the hose as the water that the water is going through, yeah, and trying to make the hose better. When its only job it's doing quite well, which is funneling water. Yeah, yeah. But I want to have a different color hose or this hose or that hose. Yeah, need some bracelets and shit for those. But the water, so the existence now is separated from the thing, so to speak, and the existence, yeah, has a sense of being before. Yeah, which gives you a view of the after. So now you and I are seeing we are aware of what we used to look from. So we used to look from the existent thing, which was an afterthought, an idea, yeah? A mistake. We used to look at everything from there. You now see it. So now I am seeing from that which is all, that which is before, I am seeing where I used to look from. Yeah. the imaginary Paul. I used to look from what triangulated me was the non-existent thing. Yeah. I think of myself as that. I remember myself as that. Yes, all this going on, all happening in the after, but in the rest of the after, it's the before. Yeah, it's the starting point. So when you're trying to get out of you, it's the you you'd like to get out of trying to do it. Yes? When you're trying to get out of you is the you that you're trying to get out of. Wow. There's no answer, especially the answers that come after. They actually reinforce the mistake. They're not solving it. Yes, this was the point. So we see what we're not from what we are, or we see what is projected in the after as being the starting point. We see that from the before. Yes, yes. And we don't have to wait for the moment of death when the non-existent thing shows its true nature, which is non-existent. You get a sense of that, and that sense of not being the non-existent thing ups the sense of existence. Yeah. Yeah. Not you being present, but the presence of what we are. Yeah. And it's not somewhere that you go and come back. All the dances are after. The before, there's nothing going on. In the after, you think you can leave and come back and go up and come down. But in fact, in the be still, the stillness is supreme. Yeah? Yeah. Now, if you're here and you've been brought back to there, you realize you put the ball down, and this is Ramana talks about it. I don't want to miscast it, but he was basically saying you get to a certain point, let's say this before, and then you just put the ball down, and then grace does the rest. Yeah, you can't run it back any farther. You've seen what you needed to see, and that's that. And then there you go. And just one day, like sometimes I get so many beautiful surprises in the mail. You're going to get a lot of surprises in the life. Why? When it's the looking has ended, you're going to see a lot. Yeah, yeah. So, of course, if the existent thing if the existence is mistaken for the thing, the existence is going to end, but it isn't. Yeah. The thing that believes it's existing is going to end for sure. Yeah. So time is necessary to make the non-existent thing the existent thing. Yes. It can't create it, but it can make it seem like it's so. And then it usually starts, even when you wake up in the morning, a lot of times there's awakeness first and then Paul. Yeah. There's a little bit of a stutter step. You're not Paul when you wake up. You're awake, and then suddenly, like the robe of Paul's put on you. But you notice, there's a noticing of that. Yeah. Yeah. That's seeing from the before, so to speak. Yeah. And it doesn't seem to care if Paul wakes up because it doesn't change anything. It's what seems to care is Paul, the Paul that wakes up. But that which, yeah, because obviously that which is awake and aware doesn't get lost in the awareness of Paul. This is all made up. Oh, completely. Like, remember the Course would say the mind of God creates and the mind of man makes. Yeah. So the head makes a lot of shit up, but it can't create shit. Yeah, it can't. It can make stuff up. Yeah, so it's got a good story going. The suit doesn't have to be that tight. Yeah, you can wear it loosely. You can. Yeah. You may find you have a lot of other qualities when you're not so clamped down. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, that's that for me today. Anyone have a question? Don't try to understand anything. Just just let the old man rant. Yes, that's all. Something gets through. I know that for sure. Yes. All this is a charade, but there's some golden flakes in here. Yeah. Yeah.
Cassandra would like to come in.
Oh,
Cassandra, she had her hand up.
she's already in, but yes, that's good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
I can't
conversation.
get, yeah. So today I had an interesting experience. There had been some things that from the action figure point of view would be considered positive, um,
Okay.
unexpected refunds and just little gifts that people sent, different things like that. So I was driving and I was thinking about that. And then the part that's the audience started to notice this conversation in the head that, well, I must be getting it, or I must be doing something right now, I must be understanding, or my karma is coming to bloom, or some kind of a thing like that. And then suddenly there was an awareness of being in that space before and watching this little rhetoric going on. And it made me laugh. I mean, it was quite funny. And just as I started to laugh, as I'm driving, I passed a mailbox. And on top of the mailbox, somebody had mounted the bald head of a mannequin. And it just struck me, there's the head, the bald head on top of somebody's mailbox. It was just like a sign of the whole absurdity of
Yeah.
rather than being irritable, restless, and discontent, I was in the, oh, well, now I'm happy because I must have figured something out, and I know better. Or there's a part that knows better, but I saw falling into making all of that real again. But that bald head on the mailbox, I mean, it was just hilarious. I burst out laughing.
Yeah, I like
Um,
that. Yeah.
it was funny.
A bald head with a big mouth could be a good mailbox. Oh, yeah. Yeah, the head, that's, it's entertaining. Yeah. It's entertaining how wrong it can be constantly. It's just, yeah, it's almost like if you saw your kid trying to ride the bike and it keeps falling, you're not berating them or everything. You're probably having a laugh in a sense because this is how it is.
Yeah. Well, like you said earlier today in the meeting, that it becomes Comedy Central. It's not such a serious matter of, oh, well, now I've fallen into the positive error before I was in the negative error, like whatever. It was just funny. And that bald head on the mailbox, just that encapsulated it. It struck me as just what I needed to see in the moment.
Great. And the fear of losing a condition is just another condition. Hopefully, through satsang, you get a deep assurance that that which you're uh, that which is untouchable by that which ain't. Yeah. No matter what levels of meaning you give. Yeah. Nothing seeps in. It all runs off. Yeah. And when you have a certain faith of that after a while, and satsang galvanizes it, you'll just travel a lot lighter instead of looking up for every safe that's going to fall on your head and shit. Yeah. Yeah. Even if you're not in good hands, it's nice to think you or feel you are. Just a nice way to go through the day. Yeah. 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 So, uh, time is used. It's a very important part of the trick, the magic trick. Time. Yeah. So what cannot be here can appear to have been there and can appear to will be there. Yes? and it uses this I was and I will be to imply I am, and then it really it rides the I amness and gives it a name. Yeah. And so your I amness becomes the validating uh, message to the Paul. Yeah. Yeah. Here, without the was Paul and will be Paul, the I am would be I am. Yeah. But in time, when I was Paul and I'm going to be Paul, therefore I am Paul, then the Paul gets emphasized by the I am. It uses the I am to give authenticity to the Paul. Yes? Yeah. It has to because Paul, there isn't a Paul. There was a Paul and there will be a Paul, but there ain't a Paul. That's a problem for the head. So it has to get around that problem by past and future. So it really occupies itself a lot of the time in past and future. Yes? And your memories, you picture when you remember you from years ago, you're pictured as a body, aren't you? Yeah. And when you're worried about you in the future, you're worrying about an object, a body object. Yes? That worrying is a remembrance of Paul, just like the past is a remembrance of Paul, the future is a remembrance of Paul. Yeah? And where does that remembrance have an effect? It's now. And on the mental level, it's neutralized the I am. Yeah, it has. Because when you feel presence, you think it's an individual Paul you're feeling. Yeah, yeah. So non-duality, in my feeling, the best way to arrive there is through negating where you think you are instead of buying another spiritual ticket, but negating where you believe you are. And when that's negated, you realize you have never left. Yes? I don't see any other way. If this place is all about ways, I don't see any other way but negation of what has been, like he says, Ramana says, the only requirement to realization is to see the unreal from the real. So, and he basically says what's going on is we're trying to look for the real from the unreal. So we're now going to see the unreal, trying to look for the real from the unreal from the real. Yeah. It's the same thing going on, just the shift of emphasis. So non duality shifts the emphasis. Yeah. We look at instead of another sort for the seeker to seek for, we look at the seeker is the sort. So it compresses the time and space. And then you're there, you're caught in the moment where there is no Paul. And then you watch the remembering of Paul, the future remembering of Paul. Yeah. And then the nonchalant assumption that there's a Paul now. Yeah. That doesn't have to change. You just see it. And in a weird way, it's going to benefit the Paul. Yeah. It's going to be the greatest benefit of Paul because it's going to allow Paul to travel lighter as this little imaginary action figure. Fucking what? Yeah. The head cannot believe the lightness would be a loss of interest in the head, but that's it. Yeah. The head's the last one to tell you that what's going to be the relief from the head is loss of interest in the head. It says you got to get interested in a lot of things. No, you lose interest. You're you're relieved from the need to be liberated. To me, that's the liberation, literally. You're liberated from the need to be liberated. You just you're not going along with it. Yeah. All right. Anyone else, or we'll just say goodbye today?
Nope, no hands.
Hey, thank you, folks. Thank you. I'm going to say goodbye. Cassandra, great. Yes. Yeah. If you go by that mailbox, take a picture of it. Yeah. Yeah. Michael Stacy, as always. Mike Clark. Now you're looking like a retired FBI agent, Michael. Yeah. And there's Mike Clark, our man in Mexico. Stephen Mack on Having Never Left. Yes. Baron, welcome. Nice pleasure to see you. Judy Love. Yes.
Hey, Paul. Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Good to see you, honey. Where are you, Judy Love?
I'm in Havana, Florida, which is near Tallahassee.
Wow. Oh, so you're near Maryland, our lady from Tallahassee.
Oh, yeah, I know Maryland.
You do? Wow.
Hmm.
It's a small world, Florida.
It is.
I used to live
But,
in
sorry,
I lived in Florida for 3 years, down in
where?
Coconut Grove.
Oh, okay, that's fun.
Yeah, 77 to 80, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very nice.
David Lowe, nice to see you, bro. Yeah. Steve C, San Diego, looking nice. Hmm. We got Vimal. Nice to see Vimal from Australia. I don't see his lovely counterpart, but I feel a presence anyway. Miak, another Aussie. Ernie, born out of willingness. Yes.
Thank you, Paul.
Well,
Really good.
Susan
Thank you,
Harris.
Bob.
Sean, NorCal. Who else? I guess that's it. I can't get to the other page. Hey, thank you so much for putting up with me and amusing the old man. Yes. Uh, we'll be here, I hope, tomorrow night. And also, we're going to be having a little event if you're down in Southern Cal in January, we'll be in a place called Joshua Tree. It's a nice national park, high desert, and we're going to be there, I think, 9th to the 11th or 8th to the 11th. And we've rented one house already. We're going to rent another. And there's a WhatsApp thing to go on, or just if you need any information, put it in the chat, and whoever reads them will try to get back to you. But yeah, more people will be welcome, and we'll do a couple of talks and stuff. All right.